Roger Clinton.
Oh, God.
Roger Clinton, we all should have understood. Right?
Wow.
Here we go, right?
Didn't you get it out when you were screaming at traffic yesterday?
In the middle of a sentence.
Pointy. Roger Clinton.
It was in the middle of a sentence.
He arrives into this life to show us
Uneditable
all,
now. We can't edit this out.
No.
We can't. That shows that all politicians are indeed human. Right? And so he's trying to warn us of this fact. And we can never really know what Roger Clinton's warning about because he's always just going, he's playing saxophone, right?
Bill Clinton plays saxophone.
Yeah, but he did. Wasn't he like him and Sammy Hagar?
He was an alcoholic.
But he like sang songs. Like he was like a front man for a band.
I think that he was just a liability.
Yeah, it was a liability, and then he had a lot of privilege, so then he was able to go on stage with Sammy Hagar, and then you don't kick the president's brother off stage.
But nobody wanted to believe him.
He didn't say anything accurate.
He said absolutely. He had no message.
You gotta get to the bottom of the message. He did Farm Aid. He did Farm Aid. He played Chuck Berry.
All right, let's just get back to Mothman Redux.
But no matter if the Mothman truly was trying to warn the people of Point Pleasant about some impending doom, may I continue?
Please.
Or if the Mothman was a part of the doom itself, the fact stands that the mid-60s Mothman flap is intrinsically linked to the tragic Silver Bridge collapse of 1967.
I-beam 13! And that's why, from then on, every single time you see the Mothman, you can bet your bottom dollar, friends, that 13 months from the moment, something else is going to happen.
All right. Bridge collapsing is horrifying.
Yeah.
And I've been driving all over California, and there's a lot of bridges. And if they collapse, you fall about 100 feet and you die. And I hate bridges, and I'm scared of heights. And you want to shut your eyes when you're driving on them, but that'll probably not be good.
You really shouldn't.
No, you got to keep your eyes open and focused.
You really should, yeah.
Yep.
Now, by the time the Mothman flap came to a head with the bridge collapse, Fortean investigator John Keel had already been on the scene for months, interviewing people and studying the Mothman phenomena.
Do you know that he was not there?
Wait, what?
He was not there originally to research the Mothman.
Why was he in Point Pleasant?
So he was in West Virginia.
So like an ice cream competition?
He was telling and writing the story. He was investigating the story about a cat with wings that this woman said that she owned. And that when he arrived to see this cat with wings, it had been given to a teenager because it's, unfortunately, yada, 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 its wings had fallen off.
They fell off.
And it was just these mounds of gristle that they then had. And because then the woman originally had the cat with wings, gave it up because now that the cat didn't have wings, she didn't really want a regular cat.
What's the point? Yeah.
So that's literally what he was doing. And then they're like, there's a Mothman downtown. And he's just been like, oh, thank God.
Wow.
Have you heard John Keel?
What a fantastic life.
Oh, my God.
What a great life John Keel has.
Yeah.
He goes wherever he's called.
As I said, it was just amazing because one day I'm just a normal reporter and the next day I'm in the Mothman business.
That's fantastic. And what a business it is.
But then the rest of his life was him just bitterly just being like,
They're all making money off of me. They're all making money off of me. My Mothman's mine.
The $1 billion Mothman business.
And yet at the same time pissed off at being known as the Mothman guy.
well, because then he couldn't go to
Seems just incredibly difficult as a human being.
He finally got
lifelong bachelor.
He finally got his big check, right? Because Mothman Prophecies, the movie, finally came out near the end of his life, 2002, and he was just like the old dying, so he was like,
I was so excited to go to premiere, but the next thing I know, apparently, according to the doctor, no one knows why I went temporarily blind.
he just had gone temporarily blind, and no one could figure out why.
I mean, that's almost, again, the Mothman.
Yeah, that's what he did blame it.
Yes.
Well, interestingly, Keel said that he was getting strange phone calls from people claiming that they were in contact with aliens who were making vague predictions of future events on a national and sometimes worldwide scale. This was in the months leading up to the bridge collapse.
Okay. Hi, is this John Keel? Is this John Keel? Yes, sir. You've reached the Keel hotlines. Yep. Let me tell you, I bet you're fucking gonna get stuck in a trash can later.
Tell him he's gonna get stuck in a
fucking
trash
piece of shit.
Tell him he's a piece of trash.
That's very distressing.
Yeah.
Very distressing indeed.
And then they all just round him up and shove him in a fucking garbage can later.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like,
I said that mysterious phone call earlier.
Yep,
You
yes, I
never
did.
could have foretold this.
No, not at all. Then you ended up in a trash can, didn't you?
Well, some of these predictions turned out to be true, and some of them didn't. For example, one prediction in which the Pope was stabbed That never came true. Someone called him up and said, Pope's going to be fucking stabbed. That never happened. He did get shot.
That's what I was going to say.
But 14 years later.
That doesn't count.
That doesn't count.
Doesn't count. If it was 13 years later, we would have to make it count for numerology.
I-beam 13!
But okay.
But another warning did prove to be true. One caller said that Robert F. Kennedy was due for an assassination, and sure enough, RFK was killed the next year in 1968. Whoa. However, that could have also been a lucky guess, because when it came to assassination trends in the mid to late 60s, the odds at Vegas would have been pretty high for RFK.
I mean, his brother... His head just did that.
His head. Well, you know what I always thought? It was a suicide.
Yeah, it was suicide. So, but it does feel like if your brother, who's president, got like very publicly assassinated, it does seem to speak. Well, you'd be higher on the list. RFK definitely was higher on the list to be assassinated than like Stephen Urkel.
Urkel,
White.
he wasn't born yet.
I don't know.
He wasn't born yet. But check out that speech that he gave. The speech he gave right before he was shot was amazing.
Jaleel White?
RFK.
Well, I'm saying more from the fact that a lot of hope and change people were getting killed in 1968.
Oh, yes.
You know,
Very
MLK.
dangerous.
It was just 60s was the time of assassination, and RFK was trying to change things. So, yeah, it's pretty likely you're going to get shot in the
Not
head.
to derail too much, but there was just some new documents about Malcolm X, but the person that shot him, the cops were like, is he with us?
Yeah.
Because who knows, it was an inside job.
It was very, all of it was, it's all deeply fucked up. And they were all like, the CIA was all up inside all of these movements. It was bad time.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get back to goofballness.
Let's get back to goofballness, but I will say that book on Charles Manson, the new one that came out, Chaos, I'm reading it right now.
Yeah.
It's fucking great.
I am more and more certain that he definitely, I mean, he got acid from MK Ultra. We know that. We know that for certain.
From the program.
But but look at Ted Kaczynski. Same thing. He just had a psyche shatter, but who knows? Now we're in, you got me here.
Now he's here.
But what's most interesting about these predictions is that at one point, someone called John Keel to tell him that the Silver Bridge between Canoga, Ohio and Point Pleasant, West Virginia was soon going to collapse.
Oh, no. How am I going to get to Canoga, Ohio now?
Now, this could be the power of suggestion, but in November of 1967, one of Keel's Mothman witnesses, Mary Heyer, she said that she had a nightmare in which people were drowning in the Ohio River, and Christmas packages were ominously floating in the waters around them.
Oh, yeah.
Do we have any evidence that John Keel was just down there gnawing on the bridge? Is it possible that as soon as he found this out, he was just like whittling on it?
I will also say it's a fairly poor part of the country, especially at the time, so the whole thing you can kind of see was probably in disarray, and it's very scary.
Well, it's also not as poor. It wasn't as poor in 1967 as it is now. Things were much, much worse in West Virginia now than they were back then.
Every time I was driving to JFK in New York City, you look under the bridge. You see that, and everything is rotted out. And I was like, anytime, you can basically in this country at this time just say a bridge is going to collapse, and you'll be right 7 out of 10 times.
You might be.
Reportedly, Mary was not the only person having these dreams. And as it happened, at 5:04 p.m. on December 16th, 1967, as dozens of cars were stuck on the Silver Bridge in rush hour holiday traffic,
I hate it.
A low metal moan began to emanate from the structure.
No, it's not orgasming.
That moan soon turned into what was described as a metallic scream as the entire bridge twisted counterclockwise in a chain reaction of structural failures.
It's a DNA strand.
No, not Darren. 44 people fucking died.
Yeah, this is not fun, Henry.
No, but it's like, it's cool.
What? Because the bridge count. Okay.
It is interesting.
Within just a minute, the bridge and every person unlucky enough to be driving over it had fallen into the Ohio River. 37 cars plunged into the freezing river below, and most of these cars were occupied by holiday travelers carrying, you guessed it, Christmas presents.
Oh my God. That is really, there's something there that's very creepy.
It's haunting. And then just fucking watching Mothman smoking a cigarette, watching the whole thing, being like, fuck Christmas.
Oh, he's like Melania.
Well, from eyewitness accounts, the scene was madness, happening both in seeming slow motion and far too fast for anyone to do anything to help. Some of the cars that fell bobbed for just a moment, as if by some miracle they might float. But like all the rest, those cars sank to the bottom of the Ohio River. 46 people died, either by drowning in the cars when the windows broke and the river waters rushed in, or when the wreckage of the bridge itself crushed them underneath.
What's worse? I don't know. With any luck, you just pass out on impact.
Well, you just hopefully you get crushed instantly. That's my hope.
Well, I would
horrible
hope,
death. I hate that.
I would hope that upon impact, my head would get knocked on something and I'd just go unconscious.
Yeah. I mean,
as far as
technically,
I
I would hope that I would have enough, just roll down the window and swim out.
You choke yourself.
Yeah.
That's what I do. That's a good ripcord.